Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel Heartwarming Tales. The city lights shimmered against the wet streets as dusk began to fall. Cars honked, heels clicked, and people hurried home to their warm apartments. But one man stood still at the corner of a quiet park, lost in thought. Ethan Walters had everything money could buy. Luxury cars, a penthouse overlooking the skyline, an empire built from the ground up. Yet as he stood there watching the world rush by, he felt an ache he couldn't name. He had spent years chasing success, always surrounded by people who wanted something from him, partnerships, investments, recognition. But no one saw him. Not really. Behind his confident smile was a loneliness so deep it had become part of him. His parents were gone, his fiancée had left years ago, and his friendships had faded under the weight of wealth and work. He sighed, adjusting his coat against the cool wind, ready to head back to his empty penthouse. But then a small voice stopped him. "Excuse me, mister." He turned and saw her, a little girl no older than 5 standing near the park gate with a daisy in her tiny hand. Her pink jacket was too big for her, her shoes were muddy, and her brown curls bounced as she hurried over. Ethan blinked, surprised. "Hello there." The girl smiled shyly. "This is for you." She held out the flower. He knelt down, confused but touched. "For me? Why?" The little girl's eyes sparkled. "Because you look sad. Mommy says flowers make sad people happy." Ethan stared at her, caught off guard. No one had spoken to him like that in years, simply, kindly, without expecting anything. Slowly he took the flower. "Thank you, sweetheart." "What's your name?" "Lucy," she said proudly. "Mommy and I come here every day after school. She's baking cupcakes now, so I'm helping her give smiles." He smiled for the first time that day. "You're doing a wonderful job, Lucy." She giggled. "Mommy says smiles are free but worth a lot." Ethan's chest tightened. "Your mommy sounds very smart." "She is. You should come to our bakery. It's small but pretty. Mommy makes the best cupcakes ever." Before he could answer, a woman's voice called from across the street. "Lucy, come back, sweetheart." Lucy turned and waved. "That's Mommy. Bye, mister." And just like that, she ran off, leaving Ethan standing there with the flower in his hand. That night, he couldn't stop thinking about her words, or her mother. There was something pure about that little girl's kindness, something that cut through his loneliness. The next morning, instead of driving straight to his office, he found himself standing in front of a small bakery tucked between 2 tall buildings. The faded sign above the door read "Sweet Beginnings." He hesitated only a moment before stepping inside. The bell jingled softly as he entered, and the comforting scent of vanilla, cinnamon, and sugar filled the air. Behind the counter stood a woman with flour on her hands, her brown hair tied back in a messy bun. She looked up startled. "Oh, hello, I'm sorry, we're closing soon." "We haven't had many customers lately," she said apologetically, wiping her hands on her apron. Ethan smiled faintly. "Then I'm glad I made it in time. I'll take one of everything." Her eyes widened. "Everything?" He nodded. "Everything." She blinked in surprise but began packing cupcakes and pastries into boxes. Her movements were quick and graceful, but he noticed the exhaustion behind her smile. Her name tag read, Amelia. "You must have a sweet tooth," she said lightly, trying to hide her curiosity. "Maybe," he said softly. "Or maybe I just needed something warm today." As he reached for his wallet, Lucy suddenly came running from the back. "Mommy, it's the flower man!" Amelia froze, her eyes darting to Ethan. "Flower man?" Ethan chuckled. "She gave me a flower yesterday. Brightened my day more than she knows." Amelia's face softened. "Oh, she does that sometimes. I'm so sorry if she bothered you." "She didn't," Ethan said gently. "In fact, she reminded me what kindness looks like." Amelia smiled, a real smile this time. "That's sweet of you to say. She's all I have, so I try to raise her to see the good in people." He hesitated before asking, "You run this place alone?" She nodded. "Yes. After my husband passed away, I started this bakery to support Lucy. It's been tough lately, but I'm doing my best." Ethan's chest ached. "You're doing something beautiful here. Don't give up." Their eyes met, and for a brief moment something unspoken passed between them. A spark, fragile but real. From that day on, Ethan came back often. Sometimes he bought coffee, sometimes cupcakes, sometimes nothing at all, just sat and talked. He told her about his work, his travels, his loneliness. She told him about late-night baking, about Lucy's mischievous adventures, about missing her husband but trying to stay strong. And each time, the empty bakery felt a little fuller. One rainy evening, Ethan arrived just as Amelia was closing. "You're late," she teased softly, handing him a warm cup of coffee. "Traffic?" He smiled, taking a sip. "Or maybe I just didn't want the day to end too soon." She laughed quietly, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "You know, Lucy always asks when you're coming. She says you smile like you used to be sad." He looked at her thoughtfully. "Maybe because your little girl gave me something money never could." Amelia tilted her head. "What's that?" "Hope." Her eyes shimmered. "You say that like you'd lost it." "I had," he admitted, "until I met you both." There was silence, gentle, peaceful, filled with meaning. Outside, the rain fell softly against the glass. Weeks turned into months and the bakery began to bloom again. Ethan quietly paid off her rent and helped repair the ovens, though he never took credit. Amelia noticed the sudden improvements but never asked questions. She was too grateful for the new customers, too busy smiling again. One afternoon, Lucy ran up to Ethan, holding another flower. "Mommy says this one's for good luck." He took it gently. "Then I'll treasure it." Amelia watched them from behind the counter, her heart full. When Ethan looked up and met her gaze, she smiled shyly. "You've changed everything for us." Ethan shook his head. "No, Amelia. You and Lucy changed everything for me." The words hung in the air, simple, honest, true. That evening, they walked Lucy to the park where it had all begun. The sunset painted the sky in gold and pink. Lucy ran ahead, laughing, chasing butterflies. Ethan turned to Amelia. "You know, I used to think I had everything, but I was wrong." Amelia looked at him softly. "What were you missing?" He smiled, reaching into his pocket and pulling out the now-dried daisy she'd given him months ago. "This, the reminder that life isn't about what you own, it's about who you share it with." Tears filled Amelia's eyes as she whispered, "You're not as lonely anymore, are you?" He took her hand gently. "Not anymore." Lucy came running back, giggling. "Mommy, Mr. Ethan!" "Look, the sun's saying goodbye." Amelia laughed and knelt down beside her daughter. Ethan crouched too, watching them both, the two people who had unknowingly rescued him from emptiness. "Lucy," he said softly, "you gave me a flower once, remember?" She nodded eagerly. "Uh-huh." "It was pretty." "It was," Ethan smiled, "and it changed my whole life." Lucy tilted her head. "How can one flower do that?" He looked at Amelia, his heart full. "Because it led me to your mommy." Amelia blushed, her eyes glistening. Lucy grinned wide. "Then I'm glad I gave it to you." They all laughed together, the sound echoing through the quiet park. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ethan finally understood what love really meant. Not grand gestures or perfect plans, but small, beautiful moments that heal broken hearts. For the first time in years, Ethan Walters wasn't a lonely millionaire anymore. He was simply a man, happy, loved, and home.